I just want to say St. Mary's is a championship caliber team. You know, they gave us everything that we could handle in this particular game. You know, they represented themselves in their conference very well. And that's a well-coached team with some seniors that, you know, they didn't want their night to end tonight, and they made big-time shots. So I want to give a lot of credit to them. Our team has just battled through a lot. You know, we're battle-tested. We don't lose our poise. I'm just proud of the way our guys competed, you know, and that's what we talk about every single day is competing. They made a run. We'd make a play. It was a total team effort by our team, and I couldn't be more proud of our team. No, absolutely, because we saw a couple big bodies in both those games, and we put a lot of emphasis on inside attack for both the first two games that we played, and we knew that the big fella was going to be a load in there. You know, they're hard to deal with because they have guys that can keep you honest on the outside as well, and they probably were more complete team in terms of if you want to compare the first two teams because they not only could throw it down in the post and get a bucket, but they could, you know, score from the perimeter as witnessed by what those guys did, you know, Taylor and Sadufu. So they're a very talented team. Yeah, Nick is kind of the forgotten man sometimes. We have such great balance. You know, Michi's an alpha dog, BJ's an alpha dog, Mitch is somewhere in between, and then you got Nick, who just quietly, he's a steam engine. You don't really hear him, but he continues to work. And he made some big-time shots when we needed some big-time shots, and he threw his body down there and battled that big fella down there because that's not an easy task right there. You know, he's always ready. He's always ready to go.
Yeah, it definitely did. We moved the ball and we kept trying to put him in ball screens and stuff, and it really opened up a couple of jump shots, which is where we got a lot of our points from. So we just tried to move him, run him around, and that's what we did. So
yeah, it's kind of the domino effect. They feed off each other. You know, this guy over here to my left is a battle-tested warrior. You know, he's played in national championships. You know, he drives me crazy sometimes, but I love him to death, you know, because I know I can count on him in big moments, you know. And again, the guys follow suit with Michi. But, again, we have that kind of chemistry that we just feed off each other. And we've never had an issue of a guy getting hot and somebody saying, okay, my turn. You know, we keep feeding the hot hand, you know. And, again, you know, Michi gives us a lot of swagger. Well, we recruited him for these moments here because he's been battle-tested. You know, he's a Flint kid. He rises to big moments, you know, and that's the best thing I can say about Michi. And, you know, I got to live with the bad and the good with him. He's aggressive sometimes. I want to back him off a little bit, but, you know, you can't take the spirit out of the Mustang. You got to let a Mustang be a Mustang, and that's what he is. You don't mind that analogy? The Mustang, you know, but, you know, Michi's going to show up when the lights come on, and he's had a history of doing that starting with last year, you know, and I'll let him speak to that a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, man, it was big for us. You know, it was something our freshmen and the new guys haven't experienced, and really, this moment I really wanted it for J-Mo. J-Mo has been here for 4 years, and I want them to go on a strong note. You know, all week we've been talking about how this is our last game as seniors, and I just wanted Mo to go out, you know, on the upper hand. Well, one thing I've seen about J-Mo, he's more consistent mentally. You know, at first, you know, if J-Mo missed a couple of free throws, it was hard to get him back in the game. And now he's becoming a man. I feel like he's progressing as a man, and it shows on the court. You know, he doesn't get affected. You know, he doesn't get composed real easily no more, and he just keeps attacking. That's one thing I love about him.
And Coach, not only has he just gotten physically stronger, I mean, his maturity level is just spot.
Yeah, it's just the evolution of a guy being a senior, you know. And, again, I keep saying this about J-Mo is that he's every year progressed in some area. It's like Michi talking about the mental game this year, you know. We go as he goes. He establishes a lot of things for us in this team right here. And the difference between the previous years is he wants that challenge now. He doesn't shy away from it, you know, and it's been nice to see him mature over the years and become the guy. He's going to be one of the best to ever walk through the doors. That's not arguable right there, you know, but give the guys around him credit as well, you know, because we trust him and we use him to his full abilities. Well, the big three were the big three. They kept them in the game. You know, I thought we'd try and, dip into the averages a little bit. But, again, what you see is those are three seniors right there. And, again, I go back to, they didn't want that season to end, and I give them a lot of credit. They carried that team. And that's what seniors are supposed to do, but they've been doing it all year long. And what we tried to do is just make it as hard as possible for them. Taylor made some tough shots. That's a good player right there. And we were there on a lot of contests, and, he was making them. And, again, that's what your seniors, that's what you want. So I'm sure the coach is extremely proud of the way they competed. It's a fine team that we played. Yeah, those plays are always momentum getters, because one, in a game where you're struggling for every point, to get a couple free, points is a big thing, and it just gives you enough breathing room. But as you saw, they came back with another charge after that, and, they narrowed the gap again. But those are momentum plays. It's unfortunate that it happens, but the officials have a duty to call it, but it certainly helped us. It was a mixture. We were going to extend our pressure in man-to-man, and we got a couple fouls with Jay. We were trying to protect. Mitch got a couple early ones. And that's something that's what we do anyways. You're always going to see some zone, because I think sometimes when you have problems with your man, whether it's, you're getting scored on, whether it's foul trouble, you have to have something to go, a plan B. And that's not a plan B. We've gotten a lot of mileage out of that zone.
Well, it feels amazing to win, and not have our season end. But, I mean, it's bigger than just it being my last game. It's helping these other guys show that it's a better pathway, with winning and taking this journey, to Kentucky. I appreciate everything that, I have here, like I said. And, I just want to keep this going as long as possible.
Mitch is a great player. He comes out every night and tries to be as aggressive as possible, and that's what we need from him. He's a great offensive player, and defensively, he's there, rebounds the ball like crazy, and he's just a great holding point for the team. He's that strength that keeps us going a lot of the time, and anytime you need a basket, you know that he's willing to get his shoulder down and get that for you. So he's a great player, and I'm happy to have him on the team.
What was your approach today?
I'm sticking to the game plan. We're going to three-quarter him, and I was going to battle as much as I could down there. I used my body, I used everything I had to push him off, but he's a strong player, he's a great player. It was, my rebounds basically were down tonight because all I was doing was trying to push him out of the key as much as I could. So I was just fighting as much as I could down there, and he's a good player, so we just did what we could down there. I don't think so. I think tonight we'll all enjoy it, but at the end of the day, we've got to get refocused for the next team we've got to play. So enjoy it tonight, come back tomorrow, maybe enjoy a bit of tomorrow, and then get ready to go.
God, you're harsh, man. Enjoy it, man. I wasn't going to say anything about that. Let it ride, man. This is second Elite Eight. I mean, Ichi will enjoy it. Even when we start practice, he'll still be enjoying it. Right?
Yeah.
Well, we wrote in the keys to the game, we always do offense and defense. On both of those categories, tempo was written on there. In other words, defensively, we want to try and speed them up a little bit. And if they attacked our press, we were getting tempo. On the offensive side, obviously, we always want to run the basketball. It was 79-70, I believe. So the pace was in our favor, and I don't know if they had the conditioning to keep that up. And where you see it is maybe you miss a couple shots at the end. They didn't miss very many, but, they missed a couple at the end. Oh, I can't put it into words, because the thing is, again, if you see the practices, you know that I'm a tyrant every single day, and guys could take that personal. They've never done that, They trust the staff and what we're doing with them, and that's a unusual thing, when you're at your breaking point at times. I'm just proud of this group because the way they interact with each other. And this is stuff that they're going to remember for a long time, and this is stuff, hopefully, their bonds will supersede, what this is. And, again, like I said before, 15 years from now, they'll sit back and it'll put a smile on their face at the weirdest time. But I'm so proud of this group just being so coachable, and they're just, they're at my house a lot. And the reason they're at my house a lot because I enjoy them. You know, we enjoy each other's company. I knew that question would come at some point, and it's a fair question. It's a good question. I'm not making fun. I'm just joking. There's some similarities. One thing you have to have is depth. You know, I think that those teams, a trademark was depth, with the exception of the 2002 team. That wasn't very deep. We're much deeper. We have firepower. You have to be able to score. Both those teams could score, you know, and the other thing is you got to defend. We defend. So there's definitely some similarities. I'll be honest with you. This team could be deeper in terms of shot selection and guys scoring the basketball. You know, it's just hard to compare different eras because they're all great teams. Is that a loaded question there? You know, this is stuff we dream about, and I don't mind talking to our guys about, you know, sharing dreams on it. You always want to try and reach the pinnacle, you know. But I'm not, you know, if it doesn't happen for us, it's not going to take the luster of the experience. You know, I want to see again, you know, how I stack up, you know, as a guy that's running a program to those other great coaches, you know. But more than just having it for me, because I've been there before, and not as a head coach, I want these guys to taste it, and I want them in the record books for all time. I want my players, my staff to have that, you know, because I've tasted a bit of that. And, you know, when you walk out of that arena and you're the top team in the country, you know, it's you can't put it into words, you know. So I want it more for my players than I do for me, to be honest with you, and that's an honest statement.
It would be amazing, you know, because, like I said, Coach said, I've been there before and I came up short, and that's one of the worst feelings I ever felt, you know. So just to get there and win it and to share it with this group of guys would be amazing for me. You know, we got a great group of guys, and we all want the same thing. You know, the biggest thing we talk about is being together as a team and being a family, and it shows out there on the court, you know. So if I could do this with this group of guys, it would be one of the best feelings in the world.
Last statement is I always have to do this. Shout out to our great AD, Joan McDermott. And you talk about national championships. She has a national championship, so that's something she can hang over my head at this point right here. But she understands the process of what we do as coaches, and she's so supportive. And, you know, that's why our athletic program across the board is great, because of her. We have great leadership top down. So I want to make sure I mention that.